Walk with me through my garden. Well, let's not go in that gate. Let's go up through this gate. This is the bell gate. It's hung to keep the deer out of the garden. And I suppose evil spirits neither particularly like bells. Down that way is our herb beds. There's a very few. I have some cilantro behind the fading peonies. This is the arbor with jasmine growing. I think it's a bit invasive, I've heard, in the woods, so I make sure I keep it cut. Some calla lilies and some garlic. Ooh, don't look at that. That's a big weed in among the daylilies. And here's an old pot I got from my mother. And some hardy banana trees. Back there to the right is the blacksmith shop. And here is a large hibiscus. Looks a little bit like something illegal, I've heard or read, but it's not. Just hibiscus, I promise. Mock orange. A hydrangea that's never bloomed. And some black-eyed Susan and phlox. And the rambling lemon balm. Little feeder. More daylilies. There's an old Victorian stand I got from my Aunt E. She was like 90 some years old when she died. Let's look back at the way we came just for fun. That's my house and my office. And coming back here, that's the edge of the the blacksmith shop makes one edge of the garden. So let's see, which path shall we take? Let's go to the left. In we go. Here's the tea room. In the summer, we can have tea out here. It stays cool because it's in the shade most of the time. And here is a giant bird, crane that's wandered into my garden, eating off of the PG hydrangea. My daughter made that. Off in the distance, we have a little chipmunk. Don't know if you all could hear it or see it. It definitely heard us coming. Lilies of the valleys. Something I can't remember the name of. Little boy reading to the quail. Actually, those are grouse, concrete grouse. And in here we have all sorts of wonderful things. A little bit of poison ivy too, but trilliums and jack in the pulpits, golden seal, false Solomon's seal. Back this way, it's a little bit of bloodroot. And of course some weeds. Little hangy things everywhere. We'll continue on this path a little bit. You can see the other path if we had chosen it. In the back of the blacksmith shop where I keep all my tools. Well, let's go on this way into the fern garden. I laid these stones myself. Boy, were they heavy. Some of them are a couple feet deep. I have 5 different kinds of ferns in here. Some giant ferns. I won't tell you all the names because I might get them wrong. Regular old woodland ferns. Sensitive ferns. Those are a lot taller from where I dug them up out along the gas line. Royal blue hostas, some other hostas, and these giant pointed arborvitaes. This was the first bush that's in my garden. It's a rhododendron. See, it's flat on the right side. There used to be a fire ring right over here, back before any of the other stuff was here. And the heat stunted the growth on that side. There's a lilac bush, boxwood, and a hollyhock left over from before this was the fern bed. A few Japanese painted ferns in here. Some sort of weed. Yeah, I know, there's lots of weeds. And we'll leave the fern garden, go out into the sculpture area. This is the sculpture called Father Time and Family. That is a sundial, if you can't tell. That's a copper ball, and that's a stainless steel ball. There's where we just came from, the fern bed. There's a fence, a paling fence Jeff built out of walnut. One day, before I had much else out here, I told him I needed an old stone wall. So he built me a new old stone wall. And that's the Trinity Gate. See, it's got a Celtic knot in the center for the Trinity, or a Trinity of any sort. Never-ending line. Giant sunflowers there along the wall. Some asparagus gone to seed. Wine bottles that are really pretty in the morning when the sun catches the light. There's another hydrangea that's never bloomed. My sister gave it to my mother, and then my mother gave it to me. That was 20 years ago, and that's how big it is now. Not very big. Here's another hollyhock. Hard to see in the sun. Get in the shade so you can go back. It's pretty high. A volunteer redbud tree. Behind it, a golden rain tree from Arbor Day Foundation. More peonies. My oak leaf hydrangea. If we had chosen that other path a while ago, we'd have come down here. As you see, this is the back of the fern bed, and those are the arborvitaes. The rhododendron on the left, and the lilac here on the right. In the middle, a giant buckeye, the descendant of one my mom and dad dug up at Bluestone Camp and Retreat. I got the baby out of Mom's yard. Looking back from the way we came back into the sculpture garden. Irises, kind of scroungy. Rose of Sharon. Another rhododendron. And the blacksmith, the back of the blacksmith shop, or my garden shed. There's a sieve, or strainer, whatever, a sieve for my compost. A couple lawnmowers, one electric and one human powered. That's called the Yellow Rose Gate. Before I had anything here, 35 years ago, I always told people that's where the Yellow Rose Gate would go, and I was going to grow a yellow rambling rose over it. It's too hot. There's too many bugs. The roses don't grow. Here's another volunteer redbud. They're beautiful in the spring. And we'll head back the way we came. My junk. Yeah, it's not too neat. It's just junk. My garden tools. Valuable junk. Back view over at the tea room. A few zinnias coming up. A couple elephant ears. This bed was always used to be full of elephant ears, but they all froze year before last. Here's another view of the Victorian plant stand. A crepe myrtle. Pretty little bench that Jeff built. And these wonderful daylilies. Bought from a daylily farm with my friend Randy. We each bought a bunch and split them. Now we'll go back the way we came. Head down on out. Maybe we'll go out the other gate this time. There's cilantro, gone to seed. Hopefully beginning to plant itself. Some sage and rosemary. And we're out.